Okay, YouTube, Todd here again. First off, thanks for watching. So, another video, and this is kind of a twofer video, if you will. We're looking at the number one piston on my '96 Harley Sporty 883 Hugger. Kind of a lot to say, but this is a longer term test for primarily for shells. Nitro plus V power, double plus good, whatever they call their 93 octane fuel. And in this case, I will say I think it is a truly a premium in that this 93 octane does have additional additives over the 87 and 91 octane rating fuels. But to test their claims of 70% carbon reduction in 2,500 miles. So this will be a longer term test. And then part two of this is there is a lot of hubbub and has been in Harley circles, in forums and social media and everything else regarding um, carbon buildup from Harley's crankcase breather design, which I believe dates back to 1971. Now, personally, I'd like to believe the Harley engineers did their homework on this, and that this is, I don't know, one of these urban biker myths or something that it's that big of a deal, and you gotta vent it to the atmosphere, or you gotta use a catch can, or oh my god, you're gonna clog your engine up. Okay, well, this bike, and I'll call this 12,050 miles. I didn't actually write down or take a picture of. I should have the odometer, but this is a 12,000 mile Harley Sportster 883 engine, and this is the front cylinder, and this is 12,000 miles, more likely than not 3 miles at a time, bar to bar, home to work, work to home, short trips, probably using an ethanol blend, which I don't know. I've never really seen or heard. In my opinion, and things I've read in my research, ethanol free burns better, but I don't know that E10 would actually lead to increased carbon deposits. I don't know that I've ever actually seen that question asked. I think the engines run better, so maybe a little bit of reduced, but I don't know that it would be that it would be actually measurable. But 12,000 miles, I mean, you of course this intake cutout is, I don't know, it's 70-75% clear down to the metal. You can see how thin, and I apologize for the blurriness. It was a little tedious working the borescope and trying to take the picture. Now the exhaust, cutout, it is covered, but it's still a fairly thin covering, and you can see, I don't know, third, maybe even up to 50% basically of the edge of the piston against the cylinder. Now this one's even blurrier, but this is the number two cylinder, which actually, even though it's a crappy photo, looks a lot better. You can see the entire edge of the piston, even the crown here. It's very, very thin. Now the exhaust, I don't know why, but it's a bit thick there, and I've got a couple of experimented around. You can see the edge there. You can still see this thickness, and that's probably the best picture of the piston. That's a little concerning, but that's extremely thin down in the deepest part of the cutouts. Um, and then let's go to, yeah, that's another picture I took. Maybe a little bit better picture of the front cylinder, but you can see a good bit, and it's clear even before you get to the edge. So I don't think, I don't see it being an issue. It's maybe an annoyance that sometimes the air filter, and I'll be checking that too. I did clean and re-oil the K&N filter that came with it. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on the air filter, but internally, I don't see a reason to do anything. But I do want to test, and here's, I just threw these in. These are the plugs I just took out. Maybe 500 miles on them. They still look fine. Looks like it may be running a bit rich. I don't know if the carb's been rejetted or not. I probably do need to tune, while it's on the to-do list, to tune the idle mix, because the only downside of this Shell fuel is it is an ethanol blend, which I'm not a fan of at all. Here's the plugs that came out of it, and again, this is front cylinder, rear cylinder, the same in the other shot. There's some carbon, but the insulator and the tips and all that, and these were actually gapped too small. I hope setting the proper gap might mitigate some of that, but these are NGKs compared to the Champions I went with, which were in the bike originally. But this is what I want to test. And I'll leave a link in the description to Shell's site. Shell V Power Nitro Plus. Okay, and I think Scotty Kilmer did a video on this, and he's talking about cleaning out your engine and what not to do, and basically don't do anything but this. But you see the picture of the intake valve, the split shot here, which is pretty cool, and also marketing, I'm sure, driven. And they don't show you, like, this is probably the side not exposed to port injection, and they don't show you the same. Yeah, just show me both valves. Okay. Just let me decide. Don't, creatively help me decide. But Shell makes a lot of big claims and they think a lot of this fuel, because I think it's about 60 cents. The 93 octane is generally about 50 cents more per gallon, but I think Shell even goes a little more than that. And if it works, then, maybe. And they do say it has 7 times the cleaning agents required to meet federal standards, which down here is LAC, the lowest additive concentration fuel. So, maybe it's worth it. I don't know. If it works, yeah, if it reduces corrosion, wear, and internal friction, maybe it's worth it. I don't expect to see this dramatic of an improvement. And keep in mind, and in total fairness to Shell, this is in the age of the GDI engine, which I don't even know any motorcycle manufacturer uses a GDI. I don't even think you can find a carburetor anymore, and I am using a carbureted bike. But that's been the automotive push for, I don't know, a decade or more now, because it's just a little bit more efficient. It allows car designers to get a little bit more power out of the same and efficiency out of the same displacement, so they don't have to go up in displacement size. And that's, Shell claims a 70% reduction, an average of 70% reduction baked on deposits. But it doesn't say from where. It doesn't say from the intake valve. It doesn't say from combustion chamber or a combination, or, it just says 70% reduction. And of course, explains this shot. This engine used only Shell's fuel, and this engine used a lower quality premium, or a LAC premium fuel. So that's a lot of big claims. And I will say too that I mentioned the GDI engine, AAA, which I'll do another video on top tier fuels and so on and so forth. And this looks like the same picture actually in the AAA study. But AAA did a study a few years ago, very scientific, very in depth, and they posted their results. And I think the numbers were similar. I don't remember if they were 70% or not, but they were a dramatic reduction in intake valve deposits only. Now, they actually post the results for combustion chamber deposits, and they actually went up using a top tier fuel. So what I take from that is this deposits left on the intake valve are chemically different from the deposits inside the combustion chamber, probably because of the heat. This is hot, but it's not inside the combustion chamber hot. So I think you can have it one way or the other. I think you can have a clean intake valve or a cleaner combustion chamber, but I don't know that you can necessarily have both. So anyway, I'll do another video that's upcoming on top tier fuels. And then scrolling down on the page, this is the fine print. And this is a difference. I've already mentioned that. The Harley is carbureted. It's not port injected. 2,500 miles continuous use. Well, that's already started. So I've got a few. I think I fueled up at 12,050. So I've got about probably not even 10 miles on that tank. I'm headed out for a ride soon. And I will say this too in closing. And this may be, and you see a little bit of that here on the intake side, that kind of chunking up of the deposits, like on the exhaust side on the back cylinder. I'll say this in closing, and I kind of alluded to it in the beginning, the 12,000 miles, 3,000 miles at a time. BMW thinks enough of this theory, and this is actually where it came from. It's not an independent thought, sadly, that they recommend, at least in the 93 325 that I owned several years ago for carbon control, that it's a combination of speed, both engine and road speed, heat, and time to control internal carbon. So they actually recommended, I don't remember the frequency, and maybe it was quarterly or something, but to take your kind of like the old Italian tune-up thing, but for a longer duration, not just punching it, little blowing the car out, as my dad would say, but actually sustained higher speeds for, it was 20 or 30 minutes, it might have been 40 minutes, and since then I have done that with all my vehicles. That's usually the first thing I try to do, is get them out and get them up to full temperature, get them up to speed. Now on the 883, the engines and all that are apples and oranges, but getting it up, that's highway speeds. 50 even is probably good, but maybe 55 or 60, and keeping it there for 20 or 30 or 40 minutes and letting that, letting the cooking do its thing. So if we see, what I hope to see at the end of this is these valve cutouts clear, and maybe just a little bit on, the crown of the piston itself, being able to see the entire edge of the piston, both front and rear. The rear will probably be, because it's starting off cleaner, will probably be cleaner than the front. And that's it. There's differences. It's not port injected and so on and so forth, but we'll see. So for the rest of the riding season, ride about 5,000 miles a year, so that works out. Hope to see, and I'll take some pictures along the way, maybe at milestones, like at the 1,000, 2,000, and then finally at the 2,500, and post them and see. But that's all I have for today. Again, thanks for watching. Remember the YouTube, like, share, comment, subscribe. Do love the comments, and generate a conversation regarding this. But hope this helps. If you guys have similar experiences, let me know. And until next time, two wheels down. Thanks.